disturbances and upsets, and that's just a part of being in this human body. However, today's talk title is Peace Beyond All Understanding. And that's where we're going to go, because I've spoke about peace before, but Spirit has brought more information and lightness to this subject, in which I'm going to share with you today. And there's two sources of where a part of me was like, can I just read these books totally to you? Because they are full of insight. The one is the class I'm going to be teaching beginning on May 14th. It's called The Government of Eden, Spiritual Principles for Living in Peace by Joel Goldsmith. This is a gem, and there's a couple things in here that he just puts it out there in a way that I'm like, oh, I had no idea. So you're going to get an idea with me. The other one is by a previous congregant, and actually he's still a congregant. He just lives in St. Louis, Missouri now. And that is Ralph Huber, who was here. He's a PhD. And his book, I have a few tabs there, so it's called Awakening into Perfect Peace. And it's reflections on freedom from suffering. How many of you have ever heard the line, pain is inevitable and suffering is an option, is optional? Exactly. It is just that. So you're going to get to be with me as I find the tabs. And all you're going to get to do is go, actually, here's the line that I'm going to give to you today, probably several times. You all know the line that, isn't it? What was that? Thank you. So isn't that interesting, is this place of neutrality. So whatever's going on, you don't have to go into judgment, because judgment is really what messes us up. I know nobody here judges, so, but we judge. We're born into judgment. Everything is a judgment. It's good or bad, right or wrong, and we're always judging. And I judge all the time too, and I have to go, what? So this is part of the problem, is that we are judging things and calling them good or bad. What if it is just what it is, without the judgment? If you take judgment away, it is what it is. My judging it isn't going to make it any better or worse. Now, that doesn't mean I don't take action, but I want to take action from a loving, open heart instead of resentment and irritation and frustration. There's a whole difference about what that means. And that's basically, what is that? Spirit's going, not now. I basically listening to the divine within me for this talk. This has been an interesting talk to put together, because I usually write out a talk and then kind of have something to go with. But Spirit goes, no, I'm going to speak. And besides, everything that you need to say is already in here. And I'm like, oh, that is what it is. Isn't that interesting? So that part about, isn't that interesting? Now I'm saying the line right after interesting. It is what it is, without judgment, because judgment gets me in trouble. I'm not to be judging, because everything is as it is. Ralph says, in distinguishing suffering from pain, suffering is the psychological distress we experience when thinking about some aspect of our lives that we tell ourselves isn't right. Yes. Pain, on the other hand, is the physical distress. Okay, listen to this. Pain, on the other hand, is the physical distress we feel from some bodily disorder. For example, a cut on one's hand would result in pain, but not necessarily suffering. A mental judgment of a cut on one's hand, such as, what an idiot I was to be so careless with that knife. I'm so damn clumsy. And lingering on that mind-created story can bring on the suffering we're talking about. It's important not to confuse these two experiences. Suffering, which is mental distress. Pain, physical distress. I was like, that makes sense to me. So when I'm distressed, it's because I've judged something, right? And if I take away the judgment, I take away the suffering. It is. Thank you so much. I'm going to, by the way, when I'm walking the dog and I see that I just judged something, I'm like, oh, okay, back it up. It is what it is. I'm practicing this continually because it is what I want to be about. I don't want to live in that judgment land. And if it's a tool that I can use, you can use it too. And that's why we're here today, is to have tools in our tool case, spiritual tool case, in order to navigate life. Because life is always going to have stuff, right? Right? Yes. And it could be stuff that we are enjoying or not enjoying. No matter. It is. What it is. Yes. You're gonna walk out of here and that's all you're gonna be saying to each other, and you're gonna be so annoying. And that is. What it is. Yes. So I want to read something from the Government of Eden. He says that this is, to me, this is good food, spiritual food for my mind, because my mind is what brings up the emotions and then my expression on earth. The inner kingdom and inner power. Many of the problems that the world faces, which we know there's plenty of those, are humanly insolvable. Okay, we can't solve our problems from our humanness. Problems of such magnitude that they are beyond the mind or brain, even of those who seek the highest offices in the nations of the world. This is a time that shakes our faith. This is a time when people begin to think and fear and doubt. Yet this is a great opportunity. Why? Do we have a solution to these problems? Not any human solution. No human solution is going to solve our problems. Well, could be distressing, or it could be good news. Goes on to say, heaven forbid that anybody in this age should any longer believe that any government of man is going to establish peace on earth or peace among men or the stability in human relationships necessary to harmonious relationships and living. The master did not, that would be Jesus, who had the Christ consciousness. The master did not have a human solution to offer in his day, and yet he did have a solution for every problem of human experience. What? He had a solution for every problem of human experience. He taught recourse to an inner kingdom, an inner power that makes men and women free. The kingdom of God is where? Within us. That is our master's message. The kingdom of God is within you. And this kingdom is not temporal. It is a spiritual kingdom. But when the spiritual kingdom is set up in our consciousness, it changes the whole nature of our experience and then touches others, that contagious energy. This is the thought that he also writes. Can you conceive of anything that can interfere with the operation of God? Yeah, we say no, and do we believe it? Just something to think about. So, can you conceive of anything that can interfere with the operation of spirit? Then, when you wonder at the evils you have witnessed on earth, you will know that it has been our ignorance of the truth that has brought these catastrophes upon us. Because we don't know that we are the divine in expression, and so is everybody else. We're a minority, but it only takes a handful of people to turn the tide. You know, you've maybe heard the 100th monkey, where we keep doing our work. Our work that we do individually, peace begins with me. The work I'm doing individually is going to affect the world. And if we work together, and all these spiritual new thought communities are doing the same thing and releasing judgment and living from that spiritual mind to see as spirit sees instead of how my human sees, which is usually judging, right? With me? Yes. Just checking. So, let's see. Now this part really gets interesting. Okay, so he says, "Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." Who said that? Yeah. Okay, so think that I have not come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. What a strange statement that is to come from a consciousness such of that as the Master. Somehow or another, we visualize Jesus, who has the Christ consciousness, sitting on cloud nine all the time, in peace and harmony, joy and completeness, with no rainy days in between. Yet he says, "I come not to send peace, but the sword." Well, what does that mean? It could mean anything that you think it means, but he says, the reason that Christ seems to bring a sword is that our purpose in life and the Christ purpose in life are two entirely different things. Oh, I didn't know that. We think in terms of economic or physical good. We think of peace, security, health, abundance, and happiness, but entirely in human terms, always involving the acquisition of something, always involving something that is going to bring us peace and harmony and wholeness and completeness. So that's true, right? We always think that when you're praying, we tend to pray for things that we would love to have in our lives, or we pray for others that would love to have something in their lives to be experienced and expressed, whether it's wholeness, whether it's a new home, whether it's a good relationship, you name it, that we're praying for a thing. We actually pray somewhat in ignorance or from our human self, which is sometimes ignorant, but that's where we're looking to shift, transform our lives from that place where my human self becomes the spiritual self. And the only thing that I actually pray, the only purposes in prayer is to remember who we are. If we remember that I am the divine in expression, and we really got that, not just as a sentence in our heads, but if I lived from that, would things shift? Absolutely. And that's not the intention to shift those things, but to know who I am, my identity. If you are looking for peace of the world, do not go to the Christ for it, because the peace that which is the I am, Christ, gives you a peace that the world cannot give. The world might flood you with money and honors or fame, or it could leave you hollow and unsatisfied and incomplete. Because what happens is you get something that you would love, and it happens. And then there's another thing, and then there's another thing. And there's always going to be something that I want to have different. He says, "But when you feel my peace, that I am, you will feel it abundantly, permanently, joyously, a peace that passes all human understanding. Then you will understand why my grace is sufficient for thee. My peace I give unto you is spoken from the you within to the you, from the center of your being out to the circumference." What this is saying to me, because we're always going to have war. If I'm doing the imagining of, I often say, imagine everybody at peace. Well, the truth is, it is what it is, and it's not necessarily going to change. The only thing that can change is my consciousness and to embody it. Now, things can change, but that's not my goal. I want to remember who I am, and I want to remember every person and everything that is happening is divine. Our politics things, and I don't want to talk politics, what's happening in our nation? And I really want to judge, okay? I just want to be judgmental. And I have to say, it is what it is. I don't like it. That is what it is. I don't have to like it. And at the same time, I don't see the bigger picture. I can't see beyond what I see and what I fear. And I don't want to get caught up in fear, because that is just not the path of spirit. Spirit knows no fear. We have a true nature that is not judging. Our nature, God does not judge. We judge. Judge not by appearances. It is what it is. I'm just fascinated by this idea to stop judging and stop getting myself into that suffering experience, which I do quite often. But I'm really willing to give it up. And now I have a tool that will assist me in it. Why does so we want life to be different. That's just the truth. We want things to be different. Well, why does it cause distress? It's because our true nature doesn't tell stories. Our true nature proclaims in every moment an absolute yes to life, offering an affirming, welcoming embrace to life in all of its actions. Your true nature loves you exactly as you are, loves others exactly as they are, loves life exactly as it is. That's kind of hard for me to put my mind around because I'm a human and I've been living in this human world, which lives in the judgment, right and wrong, good and bad. It is what it is. And it is starting to free me up. It's not an easy go-to, but to me, it is one of the keys. And he says this over and over in the book, and it's just one of the best reads I've ever had. I started to read it when I came here in 21, and then in 22, after my wife passed, I started reading this. And for some reason, I started to feel better. So I'm suggesting, I think we have a few of these in the bookstore. So that's something that could be available to you. So a couple closing thoughts. And you think about the Dalai Lama, by the way. I mean, I do. And he talks about the Dalai Lama, about how the Dalai Lama does not judge the Chinese. He says, they can take away my country, but they can't take away my peace. No one can take away my peace. And that is truth. That is what it is, and it is. So giving up the search. A question most people on a spiritual quest ask is, how can I achieve a lasting peace, unaffected by life's tribulations? Or as St. Paul said, the peace that passes all understanding. The answer the world's greatest spiritual traditions offer is, first of all, peace isn't something that can be achieved. Peace cannot be achieved. Peace is something we already are. We are peace. I am peace. We are peace. I walked the labyrinth yesterday. We have a World Labyrinth Day yesterday where everybody in their own time zone, walk as one was the theme. And I was like going, and it's all about peace in the world. And I was like, oh, and tomorrow's talk is all about peace. I'm like, how convenient that these two come along, right? So I'm walking and I'm going, I am peace. We are peace. All is peace. Just doing a little mantra. And I had a little sticker in my shoe saying, I walk in peace, I think in peace, I talk in peace, I sleep in peace. The more I work with this, the better off I am. And perhaps it'll sink in, and I will be that peaceful one. I release for peace. I love that they rhyme. I release for peace. What do you need to release for peace? Your stories? I have stories. Would you like to hear some? You have stories. We have stories. But who are you without your stories? Yeah, I love that question. I got to go where we were. Paradoxically, only when we give up searching for peace can we experience peace. Holding a view that peace is something to be attained acts as a roadblock to the peace that is already present. When I light that peace candle, it might be changing to remembering who we are, because I'm trying to envision that everybody's in peace, and Spirit's like, well, that's close, and it's good to imagine peace. However, what if you said you were peace and just allowed yourself to feel peace in your own being, and I am a God being, and I am peace? A basic spiritual principle is learning to accept what is instead of insisting life to be a certain way. Nobody does that. Life is rarely the way we want it to be. It just is the way it is. It's all you can say. That is all you can say. It is. You got it. And closing here, let's get there. Free yourself in the knowing that life is as life is. It isn't good or bad, fair or unfair, buoyant or heavy, friendly or unfriendly, gentle or harsh. Life is none of those things or any other descriptive labeling. Life is as life is. No more can be said. This, by the way, this is spiritual warrior work. You came today, you had no idea that you were going to get something. For me, it's spiritual warrior work, because I have to work at this. I can't just think, don't judge anymore. No, life is what it is. I find that when I am most awake, I am surrendered to the intelligence of all that is, the I am that I am. There's no me apart from the infinite intelligence. There's no me apart from the infinite intelligence. There's no you separate from that divine intelligence. There's not the slightest separation, just as the flame is not separate from the fire, just as the wave is not separate from the ocean. All the mystics know how impossible it is to speak about this mystery of the not two, only one. This is where we need to go. And question your stories. Watch yourself and how much you judge, and give yourself a pat on the back. Good job, I caught myself. And can I say the words, it is what it is? Yes. I imagine a world where we don't judge. That is what I'm choosing to imagine, knowing that as I release, I have peace, and then there is peace, and it begins with me, it begins with you. Are you ready to take that and be that which you already are? I know you can do it. I imagine it, and so it is. Namaste.